Welcome to Karma Chronicles. Please like the video and subscribe. Let's begin. I was sitting at my desk staring at the quarterly reports in front of me when the Facebook notification popped up. The soft ping of my phone was almost like a distraction I didn't need. I was about to ignore it, but then I saw who it was from. Marie, my estranged sister. I hadn't heard from her in months, not since she'd decided to sever ties with me, claiming I was toxic for her mental health. The way she phrased it, like I was some kind of burden on her life, stung deep, but I didn't show it. I didn't show anyone anything. I opened the notification, half expecting some generic happy birthday post, or maybe a vague picture of a cup of coffee with the hashtag blessed. But what I saw instead froze me in place. A public post with an image of a clear sky and some vague quote about cutting out toxic people. Beneath it, her words, "It's time to move on from all the negative energy in my life. Sometimes you have to let go of the people who don't believe in your growth. It's a process, but I'm thriving now." Blessed also personal growth. My breath caught in my throat. Toxic people. Negative energy. The phrase, "cutting out the people who don't believe in your growth," hung there in bold letters, hanging between us like a million miles of distance I couldn't cross. I wasn't sure what hurt more. The fact that she had publicly humiliated me, or that I had helped her when she needed it, believed in her when she didn't believe in herself, and here she was, labeling me like some distant, irrelevant part of her past. I scrolled through the comments. "So proud of you, Marie. You've come so far. You deserve the best." The support from our family and friends flooded in, validating her decision. And that's when the anger hit. I wasn't going to be someone's afterthought. Not again. She wanted to draw a line in the sand between us, fine. But she didn't know who she was messing with. I locked my phone and leaned back in my chair, running my hands through my hair. My first instinct was to lash out, comment something scathing, or even message her directly. But no, I'd spent too much time battling the assumptions people made about me. The last thing I was going to do was give Marie any satisfaction by responding emotionally. Instead, I did something she didn't expect. I picked up the phone, dialing Zoe's number, the HR director for my company. She picked up on the second ring. "Zoe? Hey, it's Charlotte," I said, keeping my tone cool. "I need you to rescind the job offer we made to Marie, effective immediately." There was a pause on the other end, but I didn't give Zoe a chance to ask why. We've got a conflict of interest. She doesn't know who I am, and I don't need her here if she's going to be like this. I didn't need to explain further. Zoe understood. She'd been with the company long enough to know that if I made a decision like this, it was final. After a quick confirmation from her, I hung up and went back to reviewing the reports. The room felt quieter after the call, but in the back of my mind, I could already see the fallout unfolding on social media, as Marie would surely lash out, but I didn't care anymore. The damage was done, and this time, it wasn't going to be on my shoulders. The post, the comments, her distancing herself, it all stung. But now, with her job offer pulled, I could finally breathe again. At least, that's what I told myself. I had a feeling things were about to get much, much worse. The conference room was cool, the overhead lights a soft hum above us as Zoe sat across from me. I could feel the weight of the decision pressing on me, but I didn't flinch. I had made my choice, and now it was time to ensure it was carried out. Zoe looked at me, her expression a mixture of confusion and curiosity. "So, you want to pull the job offer for Marie?" she asked, tapping her pen on the table. "I get that you're upset with her, but I'm not sure I understand why this affects the company." I leaned forward slightly, folding my arms on the table, taking a deep breath. It wasn't that I wanted to involve Zoe in the family drama, but I had to make it clear why this was necessary. I couldn't leave any room for doubt. I pulled up the Facebook post on my phone and slid it across the table. "Look at this," I said, voice steady, but filled with the quiet sting of hurt. "Marie posted this yesterday. She's publicly calling me toxic, claiming I hold her back, that I'm some kind of negative force in her life. She doesn't know who I really am. Not anymore." Zoe blinked, taking a moment to read the words, her brows furrowing in slight confusion. "But it's a personal thing, right? Why does this affect the job offer?" "I'm the CEO of this company," I explained, voice calm but firm. "Marie doesn't even know what I've built. She's still under the impression that I'm a failure, someone to be dismissed, ignored. She's wrong. And having someone like that on staff, someone who doesn't even respect me, could undermine the entire company. There's too much at stake." Zoe nodded slowly, processing what I had said. "I see what you mean," she said quietly. That kind of tension could definitely create issues down the road, but this is still family. It's hard not to feel a little for her. I've tried, Zoe, I said, a little more sharply than I intended. I've tried for years, but at some point I have to protect my company and myself. I can't have someone on the team who openly criticizes me and doesn't even know the truth. Not when so many people are relying on me. Zoe sighed, setting the phone down on the table. I'll make sure the rescindment happens, Charlotte. You're right. I just hope this doesn't come back to bite you. I nodded, though the uncertainty gnawed at me. I wasn't sure what the future held, but right now, this was the best decision for everyone. My team, my company, and yes, even me. The conversation shifted as we went over other matters for the day, but my mind kept drifting back to Marie. How she had painted me into a corner. How despite everything I'd done for her, she could still view me as a failure. I hadn't even been given a chance to explain my side, and here I was, pulling the rug out from under her. The next morning, I woke up to my phone buzzing with notifications. I didn't have to check to know it was all fallout from Marie's post. She had begun posting frantic updates, tagging mutual friends, explaining how the universe was testing her and how she just didn't know why things kept going wrong. It didn't take long for the comments to flood in, supporting her, consoling her, all the while blind to the truth. I sat there, scrolling through her desperate words, feeling a knot twist tighter in my stomach. I didn't deserve this, she had written. I only wanted to grow, but some people just don't let you. The pity party was in full swing. It was almost laughable. Almost, but there was no laugh from me. Instead, I felt a rush of cold anger. I had to bite my tongue to keep from doing something rash. She didn't know what she was asking for. She had no idea the path she had chosen. She had walked away from me, publicly branded me a failure, and now she was reaping the consequences. As the day went on, the posts got more frequent, the frustration more palpable. Marie began to express confusion. How had she lost this opportunity? Why had things fallen apart so quickly? She seemed to think that the world owed her answers, and she wasn't getting them. It didn't take long for one of our mutual friends to comment, "If you're talking about Charlotte, I don't think you should be so quick to judge. You don't know everything." That hit me harder than I expected. It was like a slap in the face, a reminder of just how many people had rallied behind her, defending her choices. But no one asked for my side. No one cared. It was easier to accept her version of events, the one where she was the victim. I shook my head and set the phone down. Let her vent. Let her post. She had no idea how much I'd sacrificed for her, how much I'd bent over backwards to make sure she had what she wanted. And now, I was just the villain in her story. But I wasn't going to engage. I wasn't going to respond. I didn't have to. The fallout had already begun. The silence between us grew as Marie continued to post, growing more desperate with each passing hour. She didn't know it yet, but this was just the beginning, and I had no intention of being her safety net anymore. I didn't expect this to resolve overnight, but I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going to let her drag me down with her. The world was going to see the truth, whether Marie liked it or not, and if she wanted to keep playing this game, she would soon realize that her growth came with consequences. The morning after the job offer was rescinded, I woke up to an inbox full of notifications. The usual work emails, the newsletters I'd subscribed to for industry news, but then there were the ones that hit harder. Marie had been active again on social media, posting frantic updates about how things weren't going her way. I'm learning that sometimes the universe tests us in ways we don't understand. One post read, "I've always worked hard, but maybe some people aren't meant to succeed with the support of their family. Time to figure this out on my own?" The sadness in her words felt like a jab. I hadn't even been able to respond the last time I saw her. And now this, her world crumbling in public while I sat on the other side, trying to do what I thought was best. I knew the fallout wouldn't be pretty. I had seen the comments piling up, the well-meaning, supportive messages from mutual friends and family. They were all on Marie's side, praising her for her strength and resilience, while I remained a ghost in the background. But it wasn't just the social media posts that stung. It was the constant stream of messages I was now getting from family. My phone buzzed nonstop, and it felt like my life was being swallowed by this family drama I wanted no part of. Then came a message from my mother. "Charlotte, please, can we talk? Marie is really struggling right now. Could you please help her with the job search?" I felt my stomach drop. There it was again, the familiar tug of family duty, that invisible rope pulling me back in. The same rope that I'd spent years cutting, piece by piece. But now, after everything that had happened, my mother was asking me to help. She still didn't understand. She didn't see the full picture. I sat there staring at the message. Should I respond? Could I let it go? Marie had publicly humiliated me, and now my mother was asking me to swallow that and offer a hand. A year ago, I might have. I might have helped, ignored my own feelings, and rushed in to fix things. But now I knew better. I knew that my boundaries mattered. I knew that helping her at this point, after everything, would be a betrayal to myself. You can't fix everything, I reminded myself. Not anymore. But it didn't stop the ache from growing. Every day I watched as Marie continued to spiral. She wasn't just losing out on the job I had offered her, but her dignity, her composure. She was unraveling before the world, and I wasn't sure if I could even look away. The family tension was growing, and I was starting to feel more isolated than ever. No one in my family truly understood what I was going through, and I couldn't keep explaining myself, not when they still saw Marie's perspective as more valid than my own. As the days passed, my mom's messages became more frequent. At first, they were gentle, urging me to reconsider. Don't you think you've made your point? But when I didn't reply, they turned to something else, a desperate attempt to make me feel guilty. Charlotte, I don't understand why you're doing this. She's your sister. She needs you. We all need you. It wasn't about Marie anymore. It wasn't even about me. It was about the old family patterns trying to pull me back in. I could feel the weight of their expectations pressing against me, the guilt of not being the daughter, sister, or person they wanted me to be. And then, after days of silence, Marie posted again, this time with a more personal update. The universe is testing me, and I think I failed the test. But I will rise. Just you wait. The desperation in her words hit me harder than I expected. It was as if she had become a different person, someone I didn't recognize, someone who had nothing left to cling to except the image of herself she'd created for others. I thought about responding, but I knew that wouldn't change anything. Not yet. Not until she realized what had really happened between us. I wasn't her safety net anymore. I wasn't going to be the one to pick up the pieces again, not after what she had done. But as I watched the messages pile up, as I read the supportive comments, I couldn't shake the feeling that, in some twisted way, everyone was still rooting for her. Even if it meant tearing me down in the process, I had to stay firm. I had to keep my boundaries in place, even if it felt like I was losing my family, even if it meant alienating myself further. It was late in the evening when my phone buzzed, interrupting the quiet in my apartment. I'd been trying to focus on work, but I could feel the tension hanging in the air like an unspoken promise of what was to come. I didn't expect a message from Marie. I'd blocked her number days ago after the Facebook post. Still, there it was, her name lighting up my screen. My heart skipped a beat before I swiped open the message. Hey, Charlotte. I know it's been a while, but I really need someone to talk to. I didn't mean everything I said earlier. The post, it was just drama. You know how it is, right? But now, I really need help with the job situation. I feel like I've hit a dead end. I read the message again, then again, just to make sure I wasn't missing something. Was this real? Was this the same Marie who had just days ago called me toxic and unworthy of being in her life? I felt a sharp, painful tug in my chest. Betrayal, hurt, and anger all rolled into one tight ball. She had humiliated me publicly, and now, after I had pulled the job offer and let her struggle with the consequences, she was reaching out for help? The hypocrisy was staggering. The manipulation almost felt personal. I screenshot the message, then pulled up the post she'd made. I compared them side by side. The same Marie who had painted me as a toxic force now wanted my help. Drama. It was all just drama, she said. The irony didn't escape me. She wanted me to rescue her, to somehow make it all better again. But I wasn't sure I could forgive her. I wasn't sure if I even wanted to. She had turned our relationship into a public spectacle, turning her back on me when she needed something most, and now she was back, hoping I would be her safety net once again. I felt my jaw tighten, a wave of frustration rising in me. You don't get to do that, I thought. You don't get to humiliate me, then come back asking for help as if nothing happened. I stared at the screen for a long moment, trying to keep my emotions in check. Should I just ignore it? Or should I respond? Maybe give her a piece of my mind? No, I couldn't keep doing this. I couldn't keep being the one to patch things up just because Marie made a mess. The last time I'd let her walk all over me, I lost pieces of myself. I wouldn't do that again. Not this time. I sat back, the weight of the decision heavy in my chest. My finger hovered over the block option again. It felt like I was cutting her out for good this time. It was the only way to make her understand the weight of her actions. With a final, decisive click, I blocked her number. No more texts, no more manipulation. I sat there in the quiet of my apartment, feeling strangely empty. The moment I had been avoiding had arrived. There would be no more talking, no more trying to fix things that didn't need to be fixed. Marie had to find her own way now. The silence felt different this time. I had always tried to fill it with my attempts to mend things, to smooth over her mistakes. But now, I realized, silence was the only response she would understand. I returned to my work, but the thought of Marie's message lingered in the back of my mind. She had shown me who she really was, and it wasn't someone I could keep trying to save. She had to deal with her own choices, just as I had to deal with mine. There was a moment of peace in that thought, a small victory maybe. I had done what was necessary. I wasn't going to let her hurt me again. And for the first time in a long while, I felt like I could breathe. It had been a couple of days since Marie's last post, the one where she tried to backpedal and claim it had all been drama. The silence between us had grown so heavy, I could practically hear the ticking of the clock in my office as I tried to push through the day's work. But no matter how much I tried to focus, the fallout from my decision to rescind her job offer kept nagging at the back of my mind. My phone buzzed, breaking the silence. It was a text from my mother. "Charlotte, I know things have been difficult between you and Marie, but I'm asking as your mother, please reconsider helping her find another job. She's struggling, and you're the only one she has left. Can you find it in your heart to put this all behind you?" The words hit me like a punch to the gut. My stomach twisted, a familiar ache settling in. The same guilt, the same pressure. My mother had always asked for the impossible, and once again, she was trying to pull me back into the role of the responsible daughter who fixed everyone's problems. But I had already made my choice. I set the phone down, breathing deeply, trying to push back the wave of emotions threatening to drown me. I had spent years prioritizing everyone else's needs, bending to their expectations, and sacrificing myself in the process. But now, I had boundaries, and helping Marie after everything she'd done wasn't going to help anyone. Not her, not me. I ran my hands through my hair and grabbed my phone again, opening the message from Marie. In the last few days, I had seen her posts, the ones about finding her own way, and the universe testing her. But then came a shift. There it was, a public post that made my heart skip a beat. Marie had shared an apology. She had written about how much she regretted calling me toxic, how wrong she had been to judge me without knowing the truth, and how she was sorry for taking our relationship for granted. I've been so focused on my own struggles that I failed to see how much my actions hurt those around me, especially my sister Charlotte. "I'm sorry for everything. You deserve better." I stared at the screen, feeling the weight of her words settle in. My chest tightened, but I didn't know what to feel. Part of me wanted to believe her, wanted to hope that this was a genuine moment of growth. But the other part of me, the part that had been pushed aside for so long, felt a pang of suspicion. Was this apology real, or was it just an attempt to save face, to make up for the consequences of her actions? I couldn't shake the doubt. After everything, was this apology just a way to manipulate me into helping her again? It wasn't the first time Marie had tried to play on my emotions, using guilt to get what she wanted. I set the phone down and leaned back in my chair, taking a deep breath. I had spent so many years apologizing for things I hadn't done, for being made to feel like I was the one at fault. But this time, I wasn't going to be the one to fix things, not without understanding whether her apology was sincere. My phone buzzed again. It was another message from Marie, this one more direct. "Charlotte, I know it's been tough, but I really need your help. I'm lost right now. Can we talk?" I glanced at the message, feeling the weight of everything she had put me through, the manipulation, the public humiliation. I had already made my decision. I wasn't going to let her use me again. I opened my contacts, scrolled down, and without hesitation, I blocked her number. The phone went quiet. No more messages, no more pressure, no more guilt. I let out a slow breath. The decision felt final, like a door closing, and for the first time in a long while, I felt like I had taken control. It wasn't easy, but it was the right choice. Marie had to face the consequences of her own actions. I couldn't keep making excuses for her. But then the guilt started to creep in again, slowly, relentless, familiar. Could I have done more? Should I have answered her last message? I tried to push the thoughts away, but they lingered, making me question whether I was doing the right thing. Marie's apology, while it seemed sincere on the surface, felt like it was too little, too late. I didn't trust that she had truly changed. I had spent so long being the one who always made things right, and I couldn't go back to that role now. The silence that followed her messages felt strangely liberating, but also incredibly lonely. The days had passed since I'd blocked Marie's number, since I'd chosen to stand firm and cut off communication. But even though the silence was welcome, it still weighed on me, a constant reminder of the gap that had grown between us. Despite everything, despite the betrayal, part of me, maybe the smallest part, still hoped for some resolution, some way to repair what had been broken. Then, one evening, I received an unexpected message. It was from Marie, a simple text, but it felt like the first step in something larger. Charlotte, can we talk? I owe you an apology. I've been reflecting on everything, and I realize I've misunderstood so much. Can we meet? I sat there for a long time, staring at the screen. The words weren't dramatic, weren't laden with the usual expectations of what she needed from me. She wasn't asking for help or a favor this time, she was just asking for a conversation. It took me a moment to decide, but in the end, I knew that if I was ever going to understand what had happened, if I was ever going to allow for any kind of healing, I needed to hear her out. I couldn't keep building walls between us without understanding why she had acted the way she did. I agreed to meet her the next day at a cafe not far from my office. It was a neutral place. Neither of us had any emotional ties to it. When I arrived, Marie was already there, sitting at a small table near the window. She looked different, calmer, more reflective. Her usual air of confidence had been replaced by something more vulnerable, and it was hard to miss. I sat down across from her, keeping my distance. I wasn't sure what to say. The last time I had seen her, it had been under such ugly circumstances. But now, there was a quiet openness between us. I'm sorry, she said before I could speak. I've had time to think about everything. I've spent so much of my life blaming you for things that weren't even your fault. I didn't understand. I didn't see you for who you really are. She looked down, fidgeting with her coffee cup. You've been nothing but supportive, and I just treated you like you didn't matter, like you were some failure who couldn't succeed. But the truth is, you were right there the whole time, building something incredible, and I missed it. Her words were like a balm to a wound I hadn't realized was still open. I wanted to speak, to tell her how much her words had hurt, how much the years of being dismissed and belittled had taken from me. But as I looked at her, something shifted. I saw the sincerity in her eyes, the regret in the lines of her face. I didn't know what I was doing, she continued. I thought I had everything figured out. I thought I was better than you because of the image I had in my head, because of the way our family viewed you and me. But that's not what really matters, is it? It never was. I see that now. I sat back in my chair, absorbing what she was saying. My anger had faded, replaced by something I wasn't prepared for, a deep, aching sadness. It hurt more than I cared to admit, hearing her admit to her mistakes, realizing just how much we had both missed. I've been so caught up in my own stuff that I didn't take the time to understand your side, Marie said. I was so focused on what I wanted, on building this perfect life in my head, that I ignored the reality of yours. I didn't understand how hard you worked, how much you've built for yourself. I thought you were struggling, but I was wrong. I didn't give you the credit you deserved. I took a deep breath, my chest tight. This was the part I wasn't sure I was ready for, to let go of the resentment, to believe her apology. You don't understand, I said, finally breaking my silence. I wasn't just struggling, Marie. It wasn't just about how you saw me or how our parents saw me. It was about being treated like I wasn't worth their time, like everything I did wasn't enough. I spent so many years trying to prove myself to people who never saw me as anything but a failure. And you were the one who saw me the same way. Marie's eyes widened, the guilt clearly visible in the way she held her gaze on me. I didn't know, she said softly. I didn't see how my words affected you. I didn't realize how much you were carrying, how much you had built on your own. I just thought I knew better. I shook my head. You thought I was the one who was lost, but it wasn't me who was lost, Marie. It was you. You couldn't see what was right in front of you. We sat there in silence for a moment, the weight of everything hanging between us. Finally, Marie broke the silence again. I don't expect you to forgive me right away. I know I've hurt you. I just want you to know that I'm sorry. I'm trying to be better. I can't change what I did, but I can try to make things right. Maybe we can start over if you're willing. I looked at her, the words still heavy in my chest. Was I willing? Did I want to rebuild what had been shattered between us? I'm not sure, I admitted. the honesty surprising even me. But we can try. But you have to understand something. I'm not going to be the person I was. I'm not going to keep letting you assume things about me. And if we're going to rebuild this, it has to be with respect. Marie nodded, her eyes filling with understanding. I get it. I really do. No more assumptions. No more pretending I know what's best. I'll prove to you that I can be the sister you deserve. We both sat back, the weight of years of unspoken words slowly lifting, replaced by the tentative first steps toward something new. For the first time in a long time, I felt like maybe, just maybe, we could rebuild what had been broken. But it was going to take time. We both had a lot to prove. The foundation was there, but it wasn't solid yet, and that was okay. For the first time, it felt like we were on the same page, and that was enough. It had been a week since my conversation with Marie. The weight of everything still hung in the air between us, but I couldn't deny that something had shifted. She had acknowledged her mistakes, and for the first time in years, I felt like I wasn't just a bystander in our relationship. I was being seen. The question now was whether that recognition would lead to something deeper, or if it was just another fleeting moment of clarity that would eventually fade. Marie had reached out again, asking to meet, and though part of me hesitated, I agreed. I was tired of holding on to the bitterness, the old wounds that had scarred me for so long. Maybe this was the beginning of something better, or maybe it wasn't. I wasn't sure anymore, but if there was a chance for us to rebuild, I owed it to myself to explore it. We met at a small cafe on the edge of town, the kind of place neither of us had ever visited before. The quiet hum of conversations and clinking cups filled the space as I waited for her to arrive. When Marie walked in, she was alone. No makeup, no high heels, just a pair of worn jeans and a simple shirt. She looked different. Vulnerable, maybe. It was hard to place, but something had softened in her. She spotted me almost immediately, and I watched as she hesitated for a second before walking toward the table. She sat down slowly, her eyes meeting mine with a mixture of hope and apology. Hey, she said softly, I've been thinking a lot about what we talked about before, and I want you to know, I don't expect everything to be fine overnight. I just want to make things right. I nodded, unsure of how to respond. Words had never come easily to me when it came to Marie. We had spent so many years avoiding the real conversations, hiding behind superficial exchanges. But now, things were different. I had to let my guard down, at least a little, to see where this could go. I don't know if I can just forget everything, I said quietly. What you did, it really hurt. You pushed me aside, made me feel like I wasn't good enough, like nothing I did mattered. Her face softened, and she reached for her coffee, fumbling with the cup for a moment before looking me straight in the eye. I know, she admitted, and I can't change that. But I'm sorry, Charlotte. I didn't realize how much I had hurt you until I took a step back and looked at everything. I was so wrapped up in my own stuff, I couldn't see how much you were giving. I just thought you were lost, you know? I didn't think you had your own thing going. My chest tightened as I listened to her. There it was, the realization that had come too late. The years of assuming I was weak, assuming I needed to be fixed. I wasn't lost, I said, my voice thick with emotion. I just didn't want to keep fighting to be seen, to be acknowledged for what I was doing. I was building a life for myself, and it was never about what you thought of me. But it stung, Marie. It stung so much that you couldn't see it. Marie's eyes flickered with guilt, but this time, she didn't try to deflect or offer excuses. She just nodded. I get that now, she said, her voice quiet. I really do. And I was wrong to assume that I knew what was best for you. For us, I thought I had it all figured out. I wanted you to fit into the mold I had in my head, but you never did. And that was a good thing. I just couldn't see it. I took a deep breath, letting the weight of her words settle. It was a start, but the road ahead wouldn't be easy. We had both hurt each other in ways that couldn't just be wiped away, but hearing her acknowledge her mistakes, truly acknowledge them, was a step I hadn't expected. I'm not asking for your forgiveness, she continued, but I want to make things right. I want to be the sister you deserve, and I want to stop assuming things about you. I know I've done that for years, and I'm sorry for it. I exhaled slowly, the tension in my shoulders easing just a little. It's going to take time, Marie, I said, my voice steadier now. It's not just about the job or the offer. It's about the way I've been treated, the way I've been dismissed, because I didn't fit into some image of success. It's going to take a lot more than just words for me to trust you again. Marie nodded, her face filled with understanding. I get it. I know it's not going to be easy, but I'm willing to put in the work. I want us to have a real relationship, one that's based on honesty and respect, not assumptions and judgments. For the first time in a long while, I felt a flicker of hope. It wasn't much, but it was something to hold on to. I'm willing to try too, I said, my voice quieter now. But you need to understand. I'm not going to keep letting you treat me like a backup, like I'm just here when it's convenient. If we're going to rebuild this, it has to be based on respect. Not conditional respect. Not because you need something from me, but because you value me for who I am, not who you think I should be. Marie met my gaze, her eyes clear now. I can do that, she said firmly, and I will. I nodded slowly, allowing the words to sink in. This wasn't the end, but it was a new beginning. Maybe, just maybe, we could figure out how to move forward. Slowly, cautiously, but it was a start. We both sat there for a moment, letting the quiet fill the space between us. For the first time in years, it didn't feel like we were playing a part in each other's lives. It felt like we were being real, and that, for me, was the beginning of something worth holding on to. Months had passed since the day Marie and I sat in that cafe, trying to piece together the broken parts of our relationship. Time had done its work, softened the harsh edges of our past, and given us both space to reflect. I'd watched from the sidelines as Marie took steps to rebuild her life, her career, and her perspective on everything she had once taken for granted. It wasn't easy, and there were moments when I questioned whether it was even worth it. But there was something undeniable about the way she had begun to change. She started working with a job search nonprofit, offering help to those who found themselves in the same position she had been in not long ago, struggling to figure out their next steps. I saw her post on social media about the people she was meeting, the stories she was hearing, and how much she had learned from them. It was hard to ignore the difference in the tone of her posts. Gone were the cryptic updates about the universe testing her or cutting toxic people out. Instead, she spoke about humility, growth, and the importance of community. Her actions, though small in the grand scheme, were shifting. She was no longer the Marie who had viewed herself as superior or the one who had looked down on others for not fitting into the image of success she had in her head. She was, for the first time in years, starting to truly grow. One morning, I woke up to a message from her. "Charlotte, can we talk? I've been reflecting on everything, and I think I finally get it. I've made a lot of mistakes, and I know I hurt you. I've grown, and I'm ready to take responsibility. I need your help with something. I'm starting a new position soon, but I could use some advice on transitioning. Could you help?" It took me a few minutes to process the message. A part of me, an old part, the one that still held a grudge, wanted to ignore her, to walk away. But another part, the one that had seen the changes she was making, knew this was different. I thought back to the way things had been. The anger, the resentment, the broken relationship. I remembered the hurt, the years of feeling dismissed. But I also remembered the conversation we'd had that day, when Marie had finally admitted her mistakes, when she had finally seen me for who I was, not just her failure of a sister, but someone who had built something of her own. I had spent so many years trying to prove myself to everyone, including her. Now, she was asking me for advice, acknowledging her growth and mistakes. It felt like a step forward, both for her and for us. I took a deep breath before I responded. "Marie, I'm proud of you. You've come a long way, and I'm glad you found something meaningful. I'd be happy to help with your transition. It's a big step, and you've earned it." Her reply came quickly. "Thank you. I can't tell you how much that means to me. I know it's going to take time to rebuild things between us, but I want you to know I'm committed to doing the work." I paused before I typed my next message. "I'm willing to help, but remember, this isn't just about the job or your transition. It's about understanding and respect. You've shown me that you're capable of real growth, and I need to see that you're committed to it. No more assumptions, no more pretending you know what's best for me. I've worked hard to build the life I have now, and I won't let anyone take that away from me again." Her response was simple but powerful. "I understand. I won't let you down." There it was, something I had longed for from her, something I had needed to hear. "I won't let you down." It wasn't an empty promise, it was the start of something real, something built on mutual respect. As the weeks went by, I found myself watching her more closely. She had started volunteering with the nonprofit, helping others navigate their own careers. She posted about her experiences, sharing the lessons she was learning, and how much it was changing her perspective on success. It was humbling, watching her not just talk about change, but live it. It wasn't just the small actions she was taking that impressed me, but the humility she was showing. She was no longer trying to manipulate her way back into my life. She was working to earn it. And slowly, over time, I began to see her differently too. Not as the person who had humiliated me, but as someone who was finally beginning to recognize her mistakes and take responsibility for them. That, in itself, was a kind of success, one that I could respect. Months passed, and with each passing day, I saw more of the Marie I had once known, the sister I had lost, and less of the person I had fought so hard to disconnect from. One evening, after a particularly busy day at work, I received another message from her. This one was different from the others. Charlotte, I know I've asked for a lot from you, and I know it's not easy, but I want you to know I've learned so much from you. I've learned to be humble, to be honest with myself and others. I've realized that the way I treated you was wrong, and I want to make it right. Thank you for not giving up on me. I read the message, the words settling into me in a way I didn't expect. My heart softened, and I found myself believing her. For the first time in years, I truly believed she was capable of change. She had earned that belief through her actions, not just her words. And with that, I realized something important. I was ready to rebuild our relationship. Slowly, cautiously, yes, but this was the beginning of something new, something founded on mutual respect, understanding, and growth. I smiled, feeling a sense of peace that had eluded me for so long. We had a long way to go, but we were on the right path now, and for the first time, I was willing to walk it with her. The decision to finally share my success with my parents wasn't an easy one. I had always felt like the forgotten daughter, the one whose achievements were dismissed or overshadowed by Marie's more visible, more traditional accomplishments. Now, after everything that had happened, after the years of proving myself, after the personal and professional growth I'd fought for, I knew it was time. Time for them to know the truth about how far I had come and the person I had become. Marie had been a part of that truth now, supporting me in ways she never had before, and I had hoped that this meeting would mark the start of something new for us as a family. I had thought long and hard about how to approach it, but when the day finally came, when I sat across from my parents in our old family home, the tension was palpable. It was my mother, Carla, who spoke first, her voice uncertain. "Charlotte, honey, I didn't know," she said, her eyes filled with guilt. "I'm so sorry. I never understood what you were going through. You've done so well and we've been blind to it." Her voice trailed off, and I could see the years of regret clouding her features. I looked at her, trying to keep the emotion in check. "It's okay, Mom," I said, my voice quieter than I intended. "You didn't know, but I need you to understand something. All those years, I wasn't the problem. You and Dad, you both treated me like I was just waiting for something to happen, like I wasn't doing enough. But I was. And it wasn't until I walked away from all of it, from the expectations, that I really found myself." My father, Bill, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. He cleared his throat before speaking. "We're proud of you, Charlotte. We didn't know how to express it. Your mother and we've always had a different view of success. We never really understood your path. We thought it was a struggle, not a choice. We thought you'd never find your way." I could see the sorrow in his eyes, and it made me pause. For the first time in my life, I wasn't just the child they pitied. I wasn't the one they assumed would fail. But even as that realization sank in, I knew it wasn't enough to fix everything. It couldn't make up for the years I'd spent being made to feel like I wasn't good enough. Marie, who had been sitting quietly at the table, finally spoke up. Her voice, while still soft, had a newfound strength to it. "Dad, Mom, Charlotte is right," she said, her gaze steady. "I was part of that. I always thought she was the one who was lost. But that wasn't it at all. She was building something, and I didn't see it. I didn't see her." The words landed like a heavy weight, and I watched as my parents processed what she was saying. It was a lot for them to take in. "Marie's right," I said, turning my gaze to her. "I wasn't the one who was lost. I just didn't fit into the mold you all had for me, and I spent so many years trying to prove that I was. But it didn't matter, because no matter how hard I worked, you didn't see it." Carla nodded, her eyes brimming with tears now. "I never meant to make you feel like that, Charlotte. We were so focused on everything else, on what we thought you needed, that we missed what was really happening. And now, looking at you, I can see how much you've accomplished. I'm proud of you." My father cleared his throat again, looking more vulnerable than I had ever seen him. "It's been hard for us, Charlotte. I think I think we tried to protect you, in a way, from the things we didn't understand, and I didn't know how to show you that I believed in you. I took a deep breath, letting their words settle in, feeling the weight of years of misunderstanding slowly start to lift. But it wasn't just about what they had failed to understand. It was about what I had failed to express, what I had kept hidden beneath the surface. I don't need protection anymore, I said quietly. I need your support, unconditionally. I've worked hard for everything I have, and I want you to see me, not just as your daughter, but as someone who has built something real. I need you to respect that. Marie looked at me, her expression filled with apology. I know I don't have the right to ask for your forgiveness, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. But I'm here now, and I want to be part of this. I want to support you, and I want Mom and Dad to see you the way I see you now. The silence between us stretched for a moment before I finally spoke. I'm willing to let go of the past if you are, but it has to be about respect, not expectations. No more assumptions. No more pretending we know what's best for each other. I need to know that you respect me for who I am, not for who you think I should be. Marie nodded, her eyes filled with sincerity. I respect you, Charlotte. I truly do. I've seen what you've built, and I'm proud of you. I'll do whatever it takes to show you that I'm here for you. No strings attached. My heart felt lighter, though there was still a sense of wariness inside. But I was ready, ready to rebuild, even if it was one step at a time. We all had a long way to go, but this was the first time in a long while that I felt like we were starting to get it right. I turned to my parents. I want us to be a family again, but it has to be different this time. I need honesty, support, and respect. Can we do that? For the first time in years, my father spoke up with conviction. Yes, Charlotte, we can, and we will. The conversation didn't end with a resolution. There was no magic fix to everything that had happened, but there was something more important: the acknowledgement that we had all been wrong in different ways, and that, for the first time, we were willing to change. As the conversation wound down, I felt something shift in me, a deep sense of clarity. I wasn't just the person they had assumed I was, and they weren't just the people who didn't understand me anymore. We had come together, not perfectly, but with an understanding that had been lacking for so long. And for the first time, I felt like I wasn't fighting for something that was never meant to be. I was fighting for something real, something that was worth the effort. This was just the beginning, but it felt like a new chapter, one that could lead to something better, if we all stayed committed to it. And with that, I ended the meeting with a quiet sense of hope. We had a long road ahead, but we were walking it together, and that was more than I had ever asked for.